The night Elise Merrow died, the city skyline reflected against the glass walls of Ward Industries like a monument to power. 2 weeks earlier, in that same building, Ava Sinclair had stood at the end of a polished boardroom table while her career was dismantled in front of 12 executives. Nathaniel Ward didn't shout. He didn't need to. He stood at the head of the table, tailored suit immaculate, silver cufflinks catching the recessed lighting as he tapped a laser pointer against the screen. "A 7-figure miscalculation," he said evenly. "Would you care to explain how this happens?" Every eye in the room turned to Ava. She felt it like heat against her skin. She had triple-checked the projection model. Every formula balanced. Every revenue stream reconciled. The numbers were clean. "They were correct when I submitted them," she said carefully. A faint smile curved at the corner of Ward's mouth. Not amused. Controlled. Intent doesn't correct incompetence. The CFO looked down. No one defended her. The slide changed, and her credibility disappeared with it. After the meeting, her system access was limited. By the end of the week, it was revoked entirely. It would have looked like a professional failure to anyone on the outside. But Ava knew something didn't add up. The file she had submitted had been modified at 2:13 a.m. The audit trail showed an executive-level override. A permission tier she didn't possess. She hadn't made the mistake. Someone else had. And someone had needed her to take the fall. Instead of confronting it publicly, Ava did something else. She copied everything. 3 months earlier, she had stumbled onto something she was never meant to see. It started with expense reconciliations. Routine review. Minor anomalies. Recurring, consulting fees, paid to a firm with no web presence, no corporate registration, and no listed staff. The amounts were carefully structured, just below automatic audit triggers. The payments were approved under executive authorization. The mailing address tied to the account belonged to Elise Merrow, head of corporate communications. Trusted lieutenant to the CEO. Married. So was Nathaniel Ward. Ava hadn't intended to uncover an affair. But when calendar overlaps, hotel reimbursements, and private travel expenses aligned too neatly, the picture formed on its own. The relationship wasn't the real story. The timing was. Each payment spike coincided with quarters where Ward Industries reported aggressive earnings growth. Inflated growth. Numbers that looked just slightly too perfect. Elise managed messaging during those quarters. She shaped investor narratives. She controlled the press releases. If the numbers were artificially adjusted, she would know. If the fraud unraveled, she would be exposed. Ava downloaded the transaction logs. Archived the financial metadata. Backed up original projections onto encrypted storage. Insurance. Not revenge. Insurance. Then Elise was found dead. She had been shot once in her townhouse living room. Close range. No forced entry. 2 wine glasses sat on the table. 1 rinsed clean. Police initially suggested a burglary gone wrong. But burglars don't wipe down stemware. Detective Marcus Hale noticed the small things. He noticed that the security camera across the street glitched for exactly 6 minutes between 11:32 and 11:38 p.m. He noticed that Ward Industries' underground garage had missing footage during the same time frame. He noticed that Elisa's phone had recently drafted a resignation email that was never sent. "I can't continue protecting decisions I don't agree with," it read. Protecting whom? Hale requested corporate vehicle GPS logs. Nathaniel Ward's car had briefly disconnected from tracking the night of the murder. Briefly. 6 minutes. When Hale interviewed Ward, the CEO appeared composed. "Elise was a valued member of our executive team," he said. "Her death is tragic." "You were close?" Hale asked. "All executives work closely." "No more than that." Ward held his gaze. "Are we discussing grief or gossip, detective?" It was polished. Controlled. But not flawless. Meanwhile, Ava received a termination notice. Effective immediately. Generous severance package attached. Confidentiality clause included. She understood the message. Walk away. Instead, she contacted Detective Hale. They met in a quiet cafe 3 blocks from headquarters. "I didn't make that error," she said. "And she didn't die by coincidence." Hale listened without interruption as Ava explained the altered projections, the shell payments, the executive override. She handed him a small encrypted drive. "I made copies before my access disappeared." Forensic accountants began reconstructing the original earnings models. The manipulation was subtle. Revenue inflated through deferred liability adjustments and phantom consulting contracts. The phantom contracts led back to Elisa's shell company. Which meant she either orchestrated the fraud, or she was being used. When investigators reopened Elisa's phone backups, deleted messages surfaced. "I won't cover this again," she had texted Ward 2 nights before her death. "We'll fix it," he replied. "Or I will." That message changed everything. Motive formed with terrifying clarity. If Elise exposed the fraud, Ward would face securities charges, prison time, financial ruin. If Ava's corrected projections reached regulators, discrepancies would surface. The public humiliation suddenly looked strategic. Discredit the analyst. Contain the leak. Eliminate the threat. When police obtained a warrant for Ward's private storage unit, they found a handgun registered under a subsidiary name tied to Ward Industries. Ballistics matched the bullet recovered from Elisa's body. Ward's fingerprints were partially present on the case. Confronted with GPS inconsistencies, financial fraud documentation, and recovered messages, Ward maintained composure until the final details surfaced. A traffic camera 2 blocks from Elisa's townhouse captured his vehicle turning the corner at 11:35 p.m. The timestamp aligned precisely with the security blackout. For the first time, silence replaced control. He didn't confess. But he stopped answering questions. The arrest happened at corporate headquarters. Employees watched as the man who had built an empire was led through the same lobby where he once commanded absolute authority. The board moved swiftly to distance itself. Federal investigators expanded the case into securities fraud and obstruction of justice. At trial, prosecutors outlined the sequence clearly. An illicit affair intertwined with financial misconduct. A resignation draft threatening exposure. A junior analyst publicly humiliated to undermine credibility. A calculated visit. A single gunshot. A 6-minute blackout. A wiped wine glass. A weapon hidden in corporate shadow. The defense argued circumstantial evidence. Corporate rivalry. Emotional speculation. But data does not speculate. Metadata timestamps, transaction logs, GPS pings, and ballistics reports formed a chain that did not break. The jury deliberated less than 2 days. Guilty on all major counts. First-degree murder. Securities fraud. Obstruction of justice. As sentencing was read, Ward remained outwardly calm. Control, even in collapse. Ava attended the final day quietly from the back row. No applause. No celebration. Just stillness. Afterward, she declined offers to return to Ward Industries under new leadership. Instead, she accepted a position with a federal forensic audit unit specializing in executive financial crimes. Months later, when asked what she learned from the experience, she answered simply. People who think they're untouchable make the smallest mistakes. In the end, the murder was not born from passion alone. It was born from exposure. A CEO tried to protect power. An affair became leverage. A humiliation became strategy. And the one person he underestimated saw everything. Not because she was louder, but because she was watching. Behind the glass towers and polished boardrooms, the truth had always been there. It just needed someone patient enough to preserve it, and brave enough not to delete it.